Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the internet, Jan Michael here. That footage you just saw was from my visit to the Academy Award Museum, which is opening up this week. I got to go to one of the preview nights and really got a chance to check out almost the entire exhibit, except for a few areas that were still closed off. And of course, there were still a couple of areas that they were still working on as well. So you could tell it's not 100% finished, but it's in its final stages as of the moment of this filming. And it was a blast. I had a lot of fun there. There was a lot of things to check out, to see, and it takes quite some time to go through it. Even me that was rushing just because I didn't want to bore my fiance, who's definitely not as into films as I am, took us about 4 hours to go through the entire thing. So if you're planning on going, make a day of it, because there's a lot to read, there's a lot to see. But definitely highly recommend it. I would love to go back once it does its full opening just to see all the areas that I did miss. Yeah, a lot of fun. And as you saw, it culminated in me being able to give my acceptance speech, lift the trophy, and all it took was for me to become horribly racist and bigoted. I think the Academy was onto something with that. Anyway, guys, enough fucking around. We've got predictions to talk about because a lot has happened this last month. Some surprises, some disappointments, some I told you so's, and yes, even some you told me so's. We're gonna go over it all. So let's begin. These are my Oscar predictions for October of 2021. Best Picture. Where to begin? Well, I guess let's start from the top, shall we? Licorice Pizza. This is the official title for Soggy Bottom. Which, if I'm being honest, I personally preferred Soggy Bottom, but you know what? Licorice Pizza is just weird enough that I'm okay with the switch. We also got the trailer for it not that long ago, and it's a very sentimental trailer. And I think, along with a lot of other people, this seems to be Paul's most accessible film, the one that really brings audiences in. It pushes the film all the way to the top of the Oscars, finally giving him his win. At least that's what I'm hoping for. Got my fingers crossed on that one. I have, however, heard the counter argument that just looking at the trailer, what other nominations could it possibly garner? And maybe it just doesn't get pushed far enough in those other categories that you even start to question whether it even gets into Best Picture. I suppose that's a possibility. Personally, I think if we could have Best Picture nominees that only ever have one other nomination, then this shouldn't be a long shot, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Again, got my fingers crossed on it, so here's hoping it's fucking amazing. After that one, you can see I pushed Nightmare Alley up to number 2, and yeah, we just got the trailer for it, and it looks amazing. But if you know me, if you've seen my older stuff, you know what, with Guillermo movies, I'm very hit or miss on them. I think he's a brilliant visionary. He has some very unique visuals, but I don't always think that all the elements come together as amazing as a lot of other people think that they do. So that's just me personally, but I will say that those visions really do make for awesome trailers, and I'm hooked. I'm really excited to see it. So yeah, another one that I have my fingers crossed I hope is really good. After that, you can see I did drop Dune down to number 3. And the reason for it is because it hasn't been getting the unanimous praise that I want it to. Don't get me wrong, it's getting great reviews. In fact, I've seen people straight out give it perfect scores. They're like, it's amazing, it's everything we wanted it to be, all that stuff. But I've also heard people say it was okay, maybe they dropped the ball. There's a lot of build-up with little payoff. This is just the first part of what is supposed to be a 2-part movie, and yeah, we don't even know. I don't think we even know if the second part's happening right now. I think Warner Bros. Is waiting to see how this one does with audiences, if it rakes in the money. So that being said, we could have something like, I don't know, maybe a lesser Lord of the Rings, where maybe all the accolades go to the second part if it ends up being that amazing or as good or even better than the first one. So that's what's really making me drop it just slightly. That being said, I'm still super excited for it. Release is right around the corner, so I'm ready for it. Following that one, we have Belfast at number 4. This one just won the People's Choice Award at TIFF, and I'm kind of... Here's the thing. With this one, I've heard a lot of people kind of not loving it as much as you would think that the People's Choice would lead you to believe. And so while I know the People's Choice winner usually goes on to be nominated for Best Picture and heck, even goes to win the majority of the time, I don't think Belfast is getting as much accolade to really push it all the way to the top. Best Picture nominee, most likely, yes. I think a lot of people are okay with the nomination. Just, I've seen a lot of people also talk about that they wouldn't want this to be their all-out winner. That being said, if it's at your if it's number one, it's understandable. This would, in all definitions, it is the front runner right now. So there's that for you. And then at number 5, I have The Power of the Dog. Holy shit, has this one been a roller coaster of emotions. It started off with me not even predicting it for Best Picture, and you guys were like, what the fuck are you doing, Jan? You gotta put it in your Best Picture. A lot of you, I think, even said you had it at your number 1. And then the trailer came out, and that's all I needed, just the trailer. And I'll admit, the trailer looked interesting, so I finally placed it on there. And then the movie had its premiere, and a bunch of people were like, ooh, it's not doing as well as we wanted it to. People started dropping it off, placing it lower, heck, even knocking it off their top 10 altogether. And I was like, all right, I guess it's a flop. But, I mean, especially recently, I've been looking at those reviews, and those reviews have been pretty steady on the positive side. It's not perfect, don't get me wrong, but I have seen a lot of people say that this is a very powerful movie. It's a slow burn, I heard, but it's still very powerful. A lot of people really like Benedict Cumberbatch. And then there's some people said that he's miscast. So there's kind of back and forth, but overall, I've seen really positive reviews on it. So is it gonna be that powerful film, or are they dropping the ball on this one? I don't know, but it did come 3rd place for the People's Choice at TIFF, so that's gotta mean something, right? I guess I'll have to wait and see, but honestly, out of all of them, I'm now very curious to watch the movie and see exactly what people are talking about. Anyway, moving on to my bottom 5 here. Gucci is still on here. West Side Story's on there. We're really not going to know how these play out until we get closer to the release. I don't believe there's any festivals that they're going to be premiering on, so yeah, it's really just waiting for the release on these ones. And you probably noticed that I dropped The Tragedy of Macbeth out of my number 10. The reason for it is these early reviews have been really good, but the number one thing that's making me worry about it is that it's full-on Shakespearean. I thought maybe they would do, you know, more modernized language, something like that. Maybe not as heavily leaning towards the Shakespearean language, but apparently not. This is full-on Shakespearean. The whole "you're lost," think your high school days where you're like, the fuck are they talking about? And I think that's going to turn a lot of people off. Maybe not the critic side of things, but definitely the general public is going to be turned off. I'm predicting it right now, and I think that's going to hurt its chances of getting into the Oscars. So that's my thing there. I'm still really excited to see it. I don't have a problem with Shakespearean things, but I do know a lot of people do, so that's something I always keep in the back of my mind. So it's a shame, but hey, I'm still looking forward to seeing it. Following that one, The Worst Person in the World. I talked about this last video, but I talked about how, you know, as the months go by, I'm either going to place The Hand of God in here, I'm going to place The Worst Person in the World in here, and The Hand of God just not doing as great as I think a lot of people wanted it to. I've seen some people give it really good scores. I think I've even seen a few give it perfect scores, but I've also seen people not really sold on it. And on the other hand, The Worst Person in the World, generally a lot of people really did enjoy. So I think if we are going to push for foreign language in the Best Picture, I think it's going to go that route. Maybe something's going to change. Maybe something else is going to surprise us. I have no fucking clue. But for now, that's the one that I really want to see. So that's where I'm going to place on here. You might be surprised that I put Coda back on here after I knocked it out last month. And I was kind of having this conversation with myself. where I'm looking at all of the possible nominees and I'm thinking to myself, man, I don't really have that feel-good movie that the Oscars usually like to nominate every year. I thought maybe Belfast was gonna like kind of take over that, but I haven't really heard anybody call that the feel-good movie. So I guess not. In which case, I feel that leaves an empty slot there. And so I'm kind of thinking maybe they will go for Coda. Not as strong a possibility, I think, but there is that possibility. So it's there. And then Don't Look Up at number 10, just kind of rounding it off there. I want that movie to be good, especially with Leo doing comedy again. You know, those you gotta go see it just for Leo on those ones. Just when he goes completely out of the typical character that you're used to seeing him. So yeah, that's my renewed Best Picture list. Obviously, it's not the final thing. It's still gonna change. We got many more months to go. But that's what I got right now. This is what I'm feeling the most confident at this moment in time. Holy crap, that was a lot. All right, moving on to Best Director. I promise I won't take up 10 minutes every single category, so let's move on. Director, moved Paul up to number 1 for right now. Again, if his film Licorice Pizza ends up being that movie that finally gravitates people towards his film, we might finally get him to win the Oscar. So there's that. Still have Denis on there and number 2. Would really like to see him win. I think he's a brilliant director, and I think he's going to win an Oscar at some point. It's a done deal. It's gonna happen. It's just the question of sooner rather than later. Following that one, Kenneth Branagh breaks off into the top 5 here. Belfast again, the TIFF People's Choice winner. And yeah, it makes sense if his film's going to be a big contender. It makes sense that he's going to get into director. So there's that for you. He's been nominated plenty of times in the past, not just for directing, but he's been nominated for actor as well. So maybe this is the time for him to finally win his Oscar, and for a very personal film too. So this one wouldn't surprise me if he won director and maybe Best Picture went to someone else. It's a possibility there. I see that being a possibility. Guillermo del Toro moves up a slot to number 4. And then I kept Jane Campion on there just because I don't want this to be a full sausage fest. And again, I'm hoping Power of the Dog really does prove to be a powerful film and it's not the opposite of what everybody's saying it is. But yeah, fuck, I just, like, although if her film doesn't do well, I just all males, and I don't want that. I come on, we need something else. We need something else. For actor, I am keeping Denzel at the number 1 spot. The one thing that a lot of people are saying about The Tragedy of Macbeth is that he is fucking awesome. It's a him and Frances McDormand picture. So yeah, you know they're both going to be on my list. Denzel's been there from the beginning. I think it's a great idea to have him play this role. And I'm really interested to see him do Shakespeare. Very interested in that one. So staying at my number 1, Bradley Cooper for Nightmare Alley. I hadn't been predicting him just because I had him for supporting for Licorice Pizza, but I'm thinking I might have to switch things around after seeing the Licorice Pizza trailer and thinking he might not be as prevalent in the film as I want him to be. In fact, the way that the credits come up, I think he's like the penultimate one, and not even with Bradley Cooper and Bradley Cooper. He's just kind of placed there, and that's it. So it's making me pause, thinking that he might get nominated for that one. So I'm gonna switch things up. I'm gonna start placing him here. Stupid move, probably, but hey, we've got months to go, so I can change it at any point. For now, let me just do my thing here. Peter Dinklage, number 3, still hoping he finally gets an Oscar nomination. I really want him to break into the Oscars. It'd be freaking amazing. I have Adam Driver, House of Gucci. A lot of people have started to slip him below. I'm going to hold on to him just for now. I do think he's a very talented actor, so I'm hoping he does a great job in that film. And then Benedict Cumberbatch knocked him down to number 5. Again, there's that whole, some people think he's miscast. Some people think he's brilliant, and just that back and forth and making me second guess where he's going to fall on here. But yeah, I'll have a much clearer picture once I see that movie. For actrice, it's a battle between 2. Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye and Kristen Stewart for Spencer. Which, yes, this is one of those ones that you guys are like, Jan, we told you so. Kristen's going to be a powerhouse, and All right, you're right. I was wrong on that one. But hey, I mean, I had her in my top 5 last time. Just maybe not as high as she was supposed to be. But look, I still think Jessica has the better shot here, and it's because she has more of the Oscar past. She's been nominated before, and I think a lot of people are going to be pushing for her to finally win the Oscar. But I know you could also make the argument that, hey, Kristen should have been in the Oscars for years now, and this is finally the year that she gets her due. So yeah, I guess you can make that argument. I'm still kind of leaning more towards Jessica, but hey, we have a fight now, and I think that's always very interesting to see. I'm very excited for this category now. Moving on, Frances McDormand for the Tragedy of Macbeth. Obviously, as I just said, it's Tragedy of Macbeth is a Denzel and Frances showcase. A lot of people were also saying that she might get pushed into supporting, and to that I say it's Frances fucking McDormand. It's Frances. She's not getting pushed into supporting. And if she does, I'm going to be very fucking surprised. So there's that. Keeping Lady Gaga at number 4 here. I think this is really a showcase of her, seeing if she can carry a movie. And yeah, I mean, just going off of the trailer, I think she's got what it takes. We'll see. And then because I had to push Jennifer Hudson out just because that movie's kind of dead. The respect's dead right now. I'm having a hard time seeing her get nominated, but I didn't want to leave this with a bunch of white people. So I know a lot of others are thinking something else, but I'm going to go with Penelope Cruz for Parallel Mothers, excuse me. Just something to switch it up, I guess. That being said, really the focus is going to be on those top 2. All right, supporting actor, moving right along. So as I was just saying, I knocked Bradley off of this one just because I don't know how much of a presence he's going to have for Licorice Pizza. So now I'm going to focus with him for Best Actor for Nightmare Alley, at least for the time being. So what does that leave for supporting actor? Well, I guess that pushes Richard Jenkins up to number 1 for me. The Humans, I think he's the one that a lot of people have said is the best thing about the film. It's not been perfect. I've heard other people say, no, this performance is better, no, this performance is better, but I think more than not, Richard is the one that really gets pushed to the forefront. And again, here has a really good part in the movie that really makes him stand out. So got him at number 1 for now. Keeping Jason Isaacs for Mass at number 2. Added Syrian Hines for Belfast at number 3. A lot of performances from Belfast are being talked about right now, and rightfully so, since it is technically your front runner right now. So expect to see a lot of people's predictions start to throw them in there. Keeping Jared Leto at number 4 for House of Gucci. Just again, that completely transformed. I don't see why he wouldn't get pushed for a nomination. And then number 5, the one thing about Power of the Dog that I think I see prevalent throughout it all. So there's some people that said that Benedict's miscast. There's some people that say Kristen Dunst isn't as good as you'd hope her to be. But the one thing that I do see a lot of people say is that Cody Smith-McPhee is amazing and even steals the show at points. He doesn't per se have a monologue, from what I understand, like that really showy area that you can show a clip of it on at the Oscars, but is just consistently good throughout. So maybe he can break in here. And I know it's kind of hard because he's never really been an Oscar contender before, so maybe it's a long shot, but I'm going to throw him in here just for now. Just for now until I see the film and really wrap my head around the possibility of it. Supporting actress. Well, I'm keeping Ann Dowd at number 1 for Mass. Honestly, not a lot has changed on this list. Marlee Matlin is still at number 2 for Coda. Keeping Ariana DeBose at number 3 for West Side Story. I added Judi Dench for Belfast on here. Again, as I just said, you're going to see a lot of those performers break into their respective categories just because that one is the front runner right now. And then keeping Toni Collette for Nightmare Alley. Seeing the trailer, I also don't think she's going to be a powerhouse per se, but I think Toni just needs to get nominated. It's been far too long. Stop Toni Collette, please. Just give her a nomination. Even if she doesn't have to win this year, just give her the nomination. Yeah. All right, cool. We got it. Okay, now I can start moving a little bit faster. What say you? Moving on to original screenplay. Really just mixed up the order of things a little bit here. Still got Licorice Pizza at number 1, Belfast at number 2, Don't Look Up at number 3, Mass at number 4. And then I know that 5th one keeps changing out. Right now I have The Worst Person in the World on there. And honestly, it's just because I haven't seen those films yet, so I keep swapping them out thinking, oh, maybe this one, maybe this one. But until I actually see them, I'm probably constantly going to switch out that bottom, maybe even bottom 2 one. So we'll see on that one. Adapted screenplay, kind of in the same boat here. Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, The French Dispatch. I kind of have those 3 set in mind. Threw Coda in here as well. I think if it does get into Best Picture, it's got to get nominated at least one other place, apart from the acting. So I got it in adapted screenplay, but again, we'll see on that one. It's one of those ones that can get switched out again. And then Through the Humans on there to kind of round it off. I'm not as confident about these picks as some of the others. So expect this one to change as the months continue on. Film editing, I moved Nightmare Alley up to number 1, and to me it makes sense just seeing the trailer and how it's cut together. It very much captures our attention, so we'll see if that ends up being true for the film itself. Licorice Pizza at number 2, Don't Look Up at number 3, Dune at number 4. I've had these all on the list just in separate orders. Through House of Gucci in there at number 5. Just like with the writing, I'm just constantly swapping out the number 5, just trying to better grasp of what could definitely get in there. Moving on to production design, keeping The French Dispatch at number 1, Nightmare Alley, Spencer I feel could get in there, Dune, and then I took out The Tragedy of Macbeth just because, from what I understand, it's kind of like a dream-likey set, and kind of minimal to a degree, I should say, from what I understand of people talking about it. And it makes me think that maybe the voters aren't going to gravitate towards it because of it. So I'm throwing West Side Story back in here for the time being. But again, that can get swapped out. So there's that for you. This is, again, not my strongest picks, but I think it leaves room to really experiment here. Cinematography, a lot of people really like the cinematography for The Power of the Dog. That's another aspect of the film that a lot of people say is outstanding. So there's that for you. French Dispatch, just looking at the trailer, looks fucking amazing. Dune, obviously. Nightmare Alley, possibly. That's looking like a possibility. And then The Tragedy of Macbeth, only because it's in black and white. I'm not ready to rule against the black and white film just yet. All right, costume design really hasn't changed much at all. I think I might have switched some things around, but I for the most part, I still think Cruella and House of Gucci are at the very top. Spencer, another, I think, strong possibility. Yeah, that's kind of it. It's pretty much the exact same thing. I just moved some things around there. Makeup and hairstyling, exact same thing. I think this is a fight between House of Gucci and The Eyes of Tammy Faye. And then the rest is just kind of the same thing. Animated feature film is another one that really hasn't changed much. I did move Flea up to number 1 just because we're getting close to the release of it, so I'm more excited to see it. So now I'm anticipating a bit more. But yeah, I think we're kind of done with the animated feature films for the year. I mean, unless Encanto comes out and just fucking blows everything away, I think we're pretty much set. Maybe there's a surprise left, but yeah, I feel animated is kind of weak this year. Documentary feature, again, pretty much the exact same thing. I moved in the same breath up to number 3. I feel a little bit more confident about it, but also feel like it could get snubbed. So there's that for you. I did throw The Rescue on here at number 5. This one went on to win the TIFF, the documentary section, the top prize there. And I know a lot of people have said, oh, well, this is now your front runner for documentary. But if you go back and see the previous winners, not only have they not gone on to win Best Documentary a lot of the times, but a lot of those didn't even go on to get nominated. So I don't think that this is the exact same thing as the People's Choice at TIFF, where the winner almost always gets nominated and wins a lot of the time. So I'm not ready for that yet, but a lot of people have said it's really good. So it's going on my list. And yes, I know I still don't have Rita Moreno or the Sparks Brothers on here. I haven't had a chance to watch them. I will watch them by next month's predictions and tell you what I think. Promise. International feature film is the exact same as again. Again, the only difference is the Hand of God got switched out with The Worst Person in the World, it being my number one. Obviously got it in Best Picture, so I'm thinking it's going to win here. We'll see what time has to say about that one, of course. Original score, a lot of it is the same, but I did add a couple of things. First, Doom, still number one. Hans Zimmer, bringing his A game. I feel confident there. But I threw in Power of the Dog and Spencer on here, both done by Johnny Greenwood. And I hear these are some fantastic scores. Will he get double nominated? Probably not. I don't think he will, but I hear they're both amazing. I haven't heard them yet, but I've heard it too many times to kind of ignore, so I'll throw them in there for now. And then the rest just kind of been the same. Original song, I still have No Time to Die, my number one. Top three are really the exact same. I did add Here I Am for Respect, maybe this being the only thing that Respect gets nominated for, especially if Jennifer Hudson doesn't get into the actress. Maybe she'll at least get here. So there's something, right? And then I threw Down to Joy from Belfast. Just again, that movie's in the forefront of a lot of people's attention. So I think the song, I think is going to be on a lot of people's list as well. Sound, really this is the exact same. Obviously the only difference being that Top Gun got pushed back to next year. So I threw Nightmare Alley in there. I think that has the possibility to have some nice, creepy little sounds throughout. So we'll see on that one. And then visual effects, just to kind of round out this section. Again, the exact same thing. The only difference is number 5. I took out Shang-Chi just because I really didn't like the effects at the end, especially. I'm not going to go into it right now. So I threw Ghostbusters on there, which doesn't look any better, but hey, I haven't seen it yet, so there's a tiny little spark of possibility, I guess. And then finishing things up with the shorts, animated shorts. This one is the exact same thing. I did finally take out Dino Bone. More I think about it, the more I'm convinced it's just not getting into the Oscars. That would be awesome if it did. I put Blush on there at number 5, but I think I'm probably even going to remove that one just because it's pretty late in the year and I don't think we have a release date on it yet. So it's making me think maybe it'll get pushed back or something's going to happen. I have no idea. Documentary short, it breaks my heart, but I moved the cleanup down to number 5. I've had it at my number 1 for the longest time now, but it sounds so interesting. But the short has already officially released and I can find nothing on it. Fucking IMDb doesn't even have a picture for it, so I have to keep doing that stupid little N-A thing on there and it's driving me insane. It's making me think that maybe this isn't as great as I'd hoped it sounded. So yeah, if I don't hear anything by next month, I'm just gonna kick it off altogether. That means The Last Cruise is now at my number 1 and the rest is pretty much the exact same, except for The Lost Paradise. Again, very interesting about a nation being built up and how I think corruption, greed kind of made it collapse. Sounds very interesting. I really want to take a look at that one. And then live action short, again, a majority of these are the exact same. And then I threw in What I Can't Tell You, excuse me. This one might be a little bit over dramatic, but it's about this kid that inherits this house. And then secrets start to come out, and I think involving his mother. So, I don't know, the poster makes it seem melodramatic, but for whatever reason, I think of the video game What Remains of Edith Finch. It's definitely not going to go that route, but it would be fucking awesome if it had. So, that's all I got for you guys on those ones. All right, another month down. Yeah, this one was really, really exciting. A lot of fucking stuff was announced. A lot of stuff was shown. We got a little bit better, clearer picture on certain movies. And then I'm sure a lot of the other ones that are just kind of fallen off of your list. They've fallen off of my list. So yeah, I mean, we're getting there. We're getting there. I feel we're finally into the Oscar season now. We're going to start seeing a lot of these films finally hit the general audience and we're going to see their reaction. I think that also is very important when it comes into play with what's going to get nominated. So yes, very exciting times ahead. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Everything you guys do, you know, all the comments, love seeing those things, the likes, the subscribes, all that stuff. Freaking awesome, guys. You know, I will see you next month. Love doing these. I will continue doing them. And yeah, until then, guys, stay safe out there and have a good one.